In a quiet town, nestled beneath a blanket of silver clouds, there stood an ancient library. But this wasn't a library of books. No, this was a library of dreams. Its endless shelves didn't hold paper and ink. They held countless glass jars, each one shimmering with a soft, ethereal light. Inside every jar was a captured dream, a forgotten hope, a whisper of what could have been. Every night, as the world slept, a man named Elior, the keeper of dreams, would walk the silent aisles. His footsteps made no sound on the polished floors as he moved between the towering rows, his voice a soft murmur in the quiet air. "Whose dream will fade tonight?" he'd whisper to the glowing jars, "and whose will wake again?" For centuries, Elior had been the guardian of this sacred place, unseen and unknown to the waking world. He was a silent sentinel, watching over the fragile hopes of humanity. He understood the language of the lights. Some jars glowed with a fierce, brilliant intensity. These were the dreams of those who still held on, who still believed with all their hearts. Others, however, had dimmed to a dull, smoky gray. Their owners had let go, surrendered to doubt, and lost faith in the magic they once held within themselves. The library was a living map of human aspiration, a testament to both unwavering faith and quiet surrender. One night, the heavy oak door creaked open, breaking the library's timeless silence. A woman stood silhouetted in the doorway. Her shoulders were slumped, her eyes held a profound weariness, and her soul felt as quiet as the sleeping town outside. She stepped in, her gaze sweeping over the thousands of flickering lights, a look of awe and sorrow on her face. I came to find my dream," she whispered, her voice barely disturbing the air. "I think I've lost it somewhere along the way." Elior, who had seen countless souls but spoken to so few, turned to her with a gentle, understanding gaze. He wasn't surprised. He had seen this same story play out in the dimming lights on his shelves a million times over. "Tell me your name," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. She hesitated, then spoke her name. The moment the sound left her lips, a strange tremor ran through the library. The very shelves seemed to shiver, and deep within a dusty, forgotten corner, a single, tiny jar flickered with a faint, almost imperceptible light. It was buried under layers of dust and overshadowed by brighter, newer dreams. Elior knew this was the one. He moved with a practiced grace, his long fingers navigating the crowded shelf. He reached for the jar, handling it with the utmost care, as if it were the most fragile thing in the universe. He blew away the dust of forgotten years, revealing the weak pulse of light within. It was small, fragile, yet stubbornly, beautifully alive. With a gentle twist, he opened the jar. The effect was immediate and breathtaking. A symphony of sensations filled the air. Music, bright and joyful, poured out, mingling with the scent of summer rain and wildflowers. Colors, vibrant and pure, swirled around the woman, and the warm feeling of sunlight kissed her skin. In the midst of this magical cascade, she saw visions of her younger self. She saw a little girl with paint-streaked hands and a determined smile, joyfully painting brilliant colors across a vast canvas, promising the sky that she would become an artist one day. But then, the vision shifted. The vibrant colors faded, replaced by the muted tones of adult life. She saw herself drawn away from her art, pulled by the currents of responsibility, of work, of duty. Her brushes were put away, her canvases stored in an attic, her promise silenced by the practical demands of the world. A single tear traced a path down her cheek, a silent testament to the dream she had left behind. "It's so far from me now," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I don't even know that person anymore." Elior looked at her, his ancient eyes filled with a deep, knowing compassion. "Dreams never die," he replied softly. "They are patient. They do not leave you. They only wait for you to remember, for you to come back to them." The woman stood there for a long moment, absorbing his words, letting the warmth of her rediscovered dream seep back into her weary soul. Finally, with a newfound light in her eyes, she turned to leave. But just as she reached the door, she paused and looked back at the keeper. "Do you have a dream too?" she asked, her voice filled with a genuine curiosity. A faint, melancholic smile touched Elior's lips, but he didn't answer. He simply watched her go. When the door had closed and the library was silent once more, he walked to a hidden corner of his desk and pulled open a secret drawer. Inside, nestled on a bed of worn velvet, was a single jar. It was dimmer than any other in the entire library, its light a barely there flicker, almost extinguished. This was his own dream. A dream of seeing the world beyond the library's enchanted walls. A dream of feeling the morning sun on his face, of walking through a bustling city, of seeing the ocean. But he was bound to this place, a timeless guardian cursed to watch over the hopes of others, never free to chase his own. He was the keeper, and the keeper could never leave. The next night, however, a strange and wonderful glow began to fill the library, a light unlike any of the dreams on the shelves. The door opened again, and the woman stood there. But she was transformed. Her eyes shone with purpose, the weariness was gone, and in her hand, she held not an empty heart, but her old set of painting brushes. "I came to return something," she said, her voice clear and strong. She walked towards a bare stretch of wall, her expression one of fierce determination. "A new dream," she declared, "yours." With graceful, confident strokes, she began to paint. Colors swirled and blended on the ancient stone. A shape began to form, a door, golden and magnificent, that seemed to glow with a life of its own. It wasn't just a painting, it was an act of creation, a gift of freedom. When she was finished, the painted door pulsed with a warm, inviting light. Elior stared at it, his heart pounding in his chest for the first time in centuries. He could feel it calling to him. Hesitantly, he reached out and touched the golden handle. It felt real. It felt warm. He took a step, then another, and walked right through the painting. For the first time in his eternal existence, he felt the crisp, cool air of dawn on his skin and saw the sky painted in the brilliant colors of a sunrise. He was free. So, when you close your eyes tonight and drift off to sleep, remember this story. Remember that the dreams you think you've lost, the ones you've packed away and forgotten, are not gone. They are waiting patiently in a quiet library of their own, just waiting for you to remember. All they need is a little bit of light, and a little bit of your courage. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of a dream of your own, please give this video a like, and consider subscribing for more stories that warm the soul. Thank you so much for watching. And may your dreams shine brightly.